Well, good morning. Thanks for joining. Welcome here on the stream. And yep, back online after 3 weeks. So the last episode of this stream was, that was 3 weeks ago, so 2 weeks break. And here I am again. Kim Philpotts is here. Good morning, Kim. Good evening. So, what are we going to do today? Well, first of all, maybe you can see this. So let's go full screen here. Look at this here. I just started investigating a bit static website hosting on Azure within Azure Storage. And I know, Kim, you did that. You tried that already. It's not, I think it's not exactly hard because I'm going to need this later. But what surprises me is if you look at this here, why is everything, it seems to be Croatian? You know, I was in Croatia for the last 2 weeks, but that's no reason to serve the documentation in Croatian. I think that's kind of funny because I did not change that. So I wonder, can I update that somewhere down here? I guess that's the language. Oh, what's that? It's not Croatian? Bosnia? Okay, let's change that. English, somewhere. German, Engleski, yes. Oh my god, I'm blind. Français. How can I... New Zealand? How hard can it be? This is... What's going on here? Engleski. I just pick one of them? Let's just go with, let's go with German, and then I can maybe switch it back to English. English Australian. Yeah, just English, please. I don't care. Let's just take this one. Oh, there it was on the far right side. Anyway, so this will do. So no idea how that happened. But anyway, so this is something that I want to investigate. Why do I want to do this? Well, coming back to my great diagram here. So this stream is about creating a digital dashboard where I want to get, well, information updates around all the things that are going on around the house. And the reason is, I explained this in the first few episodes of the stream, that I have a tendency to, well, look at or have a certain routine of checking out, well, what is currently going on with let's say the solar installation. How much power does it deliver? And I've got a separate app for that on the phone. It always takes a bit to navigate through everything, and when I'm done I may see, well, there's a lot of power available, so maybe I could use that to change the electric car. So I want to see what is the current state of the car, so I open up another application and check there, and it's again taking a lot of time. Then I want to see next, well, what's going on with regards to the wood pellets that I use to, well, heat my home. And guess what? It's yet another application, or in that case, it means to me physically going down to the basement and checking there, and so on. So I want to automate that, and I want to get like a dashboard where I can see all of these things just one glance. And in the last episode of the stream, in the first one, really, I explained it. In the second one, I implemented the first source, as I call it, and this source is one that is not really related to my home, but it's another part of this daily routine where I want to see what is the current workout at my gym today. So that's what we did in the first one, and then I moved on to the solar installation and showed you how this how it has got a web API that you can use. You can log in, you need an API token, everything. And by the end, I had a solution that did not build, and I revealed the API, the access token, to the public here on Twitch. And then let's just stop there. And I went on vacation, and of course I rotated the API token. So today I want to fix this. I want to make the solution build, and I want to make sure that the API token is going to be stored securely this time. and the chances of revealing it are lower. So I want to talk a bit about that, and I'm actually pretty sure that at some point the token is going to show up once again here in the debugger, or I don't know where. I'm just going to change it again then afterwards, so it's not a big deal. But so the focus today is on, well, getting the solution built again, and yeah, get these secrets into the right places there. So what do we have? Well, I've got these functions, and just as quick recap here. This is the first function. This is the one that returns the workout of the day. So this is where we go out to a website beyond the whiteboard and just perform some screen scraping, extract the content there, and return it as a, well, what is it? As a source DTO object. So this is a JSON object that we return here. Essentially, we're extracting the text content of the gym's workout and return that. Then the second one is the one where you got stuck. That's the one that talks to the Solar installation. You see the function itself is not really complicated. The logic really is in this Solar helper, where I've got a method get current power async, and you see there's red squiggles everywhere, so that does not work. So this is what I want to look at today, and let's just see what this means here. So let's start with the Solar helper. What's going on here? So the first thing I notice is this is it's a public class Solar helper. It's not a static thing. So apparently that's why it's complaining here. So we need to fix this one first here. That's a new Solar helper. And yeah, there we go. It wants an installation ID as a parameter and an API key. These two things are, well, not both of them are really secrets. The API key is a secret. So that's what's required by the vendor of the installation to access my personal data, and the installation ID, this is just what identifies, well, my Solar roof installation. And still, I want to treat this like a secret. I want to store this in the same place. So apparently what we need here is, well, some sort of installation ID. We're going to create that, and we're going to need an API key, and well, I'm not even sure if I need, yeah, let's just pass in the logger here. So we need to get these from somewhere. Installation ID, that is, I don't know what it is. It's going to be some integer. I have to look it up. And then we have the API key, and that's going to be some string. Probably don't want to name them just API key. Let's just call them what they are. Solar Edge API key. So Solar Edge is the vendor of this installation I have there. I just noticed that. Let's switch here. Hey, good morning. Just something on chat going on. Then this one here should then be Solar Edge installation ID. So I need these two, and then down here it's gonna be Solar helper.get current power async, and I don't think it needs anything, does it? No. So that's fixed, and what we get back is, well, some data, and here's the next error. I'm waiting here. Yeah, so that's not a method, that's an object. So let's return a new OK object result. And well, it doesn't make sense to return this string here. I think we should just return maybe the Solar data. Yeah, it's great. Return the secret API key if you call that function. Well done. Good. So that's what should happen in here. Now this builds, but it does not work. Now, in the last stream, I just rewatched the video, which is available on YouTube. In the last episode, what I did was I switched the streaming to this screen here. Where is it? Here, to the secret screen, and I tried to store the API key somewhere in a temporary class so that you guys would not see it. But in the end, it showed up in the debugger. I just wanted this to get in there for a quick test, but it's better to, well, fix this properly. So I did a bit of research. how to best store these secrets. And there are really multiple options. So one of them, I want to switch over here. One of them is to, do I have this in here already? Yeah, here it is. You see it here. In the functions project, there's this local settings.json file. Local settings.json is a file that is not being checked into source control. So there I could put secret values and it would ensure that they remain on my machine only. But still, there's, well, first of all, there's of course the danger of me just opening this file, revealing it to everyone, then it's recorded on video and it's shared again. And the other thing is, this is not really meant for secrets. It says local.settings.json, so this is for other types of settings that are specific to your local environment. So an example would be, we're running this functions project here locally, and while it's running locally, it should talk to a local storage emulator instead of some Cosmos DB on Azure. So that's what you configure in here, the relevant connection string, for example. So I thought about using that, maybe have another extra file called secrets.json where I would store them, but I think there is a better way of doing this, and this better way is called the, where is it? Is it this one here? Yeah, that's yet another one we want to get to. This is it. Safe storage of app secrets in development in ASP.NET Core. So this is about the secrets manager. Let me put that on the chat window here in case you want to check this out. So the idea is that .NET Core introduces something called the secret manager to exactly address this issue. You have got some secrets that you want to keep secret, and they are meant for local development. And if you deploy your solution to Azure, then these secrets, well, they should either be application settings over in Azure, or they should go into the Azure Key Vault. That's what I eventually want to do. But locally, it's a whole different story. Now, if we look closely, it says secrets in development in ASP.NET Core, in ASP.NET. Now, my solution that I have here, or my project, is not an ASP.NET Core project. It's just a .NET Core project, and it's a tests project. So how would I manage these secrets in there? Now, the cool thing about .NET Core is that, well, it's just that one .NET Core. So this should work everywhere. And the way to get this to work is, well, it's a bit hidden, but it's not super difficult. So let's see if we can figure that out. We're gonna start in the, is that the test? So here's my tests project. And of course I will need the same secret values also over there in the functions project then. So I wanna find a way to store these secrets just once and then have them available up there in the functions project and down there. And of course, if I deploy the whole thing to Azure, I would want to read them from Key Vault. And if I have got continuous integration, continuous development pipeline set up, then I want these tests to run over in the as part of the release process in Azure DevOps. And I want it to be able to read the secrets there too. So it should work everywhere. That's the ultimate goal. So let's see what we can do about these. I just have to navigate here and find this. Where is it? Looks good. Right. So over here in this sources tests, which contains, well, the tests for my dashboard sources. We've got one for the workout of the day and one for the Solar here. That's where I need access to the secrets, and I will need them too in the function. So here, by the way, this is the identifier, the location or installation identifier that I want to treat as a secret. It isn't really, but you see it's used here too. So I think before we get there, let's fix this one. I did this over in the functions. Where are they? There we are. So we've got this here. We need something similar here. So we have got an installation ID, which would be that one here. And we don't have this one yet, so that would be the Solar Edge API key. That. And I think I'm gonna make these fields. Maybe we're gonna have multiple tests, so I want to store them in fields. Or would I? Well, yeah, let's do that. So let's change this here. This is going to be a field. And let's move them in there. So now this is, no, this is, what is this here? That's going to be an integer, and that one is a string. Like that. So that means we need a way to, yep, kind of load them. I just want to comment this out here for a second, so I remember the value. And in my tests project, I should be able to have a method, a public void, we call it initialize tests or something. That is called before we run the tests. So let's do that in here. That should be decorated with test, what is it called? Test setup, test initialize. That's the one. So this is what we want to call prior to running the tests. And then here's now the big secret. If you have worked with ASP.NET Core, then you might have heard about the iConfiguration interface. And iConfiguration is super versatile, so it can read configurations from, well, pretty much anywhere, from environment variables, from JSON files, from in-memory providers, and also from the secret manager. And you can use this in any .NET project. So we first need to build a configuration. So for that, we're gonna need a builder. And I'm just gonna add this here now. New configuration builder. So it doesn't know what this is. Let's try and see by pressing Ctrl dot what Visual Studio tells us here or provides as an option. And it says one of the options is to install the package Microsoft extensions.configuration. Now that sounds like a good plan. Let's do that. Let it install that. And that gives us access to the configuration builder. So now it's happy. And then we can go ahead and say builder.add. You see here, I can now add a configuration. I can add an in-memory collection. And there is a way of adding user secrets. So getting back to where we started, the secret manager is something that you can run from the command line in any .NET Core app. And it allows you to store, well, key value pairs as part of the application and keep them secret. They will be stored in a separate file that is only on your machine. It's in some, I think it says here what the folder is. So let me see if I can find that. Well, there you have it. It stores them in app data, Microsoft, user secrets ID. So if you define a user secrets ID, that's where it's going to generate that file, and that's where the secrets are going to be. So that means we want to add the secret in there, but we also need this secret ID. Now here's something that I think is really beautiful about Visual Studio. Let's go ahead and say, well, we want to have these user secrets in here. Add user, what is it called? As user secrets. And it must know to which project do they belong. And this is going to be our sources tests. And again, it's all red, doesn't know what to do. Now let me see, it can't really magically add things. So this is an extension method and we have to add this. So we need to go ahead here and manage the NuGet packages. And I think I searched for them. There we have it. Microsoft extensions configuration.user secrets. So there's a lot of NuGet packages relating to Microsoft extensions.configuration. And you just pick the ones that you want to support. Now in my case, I want user secret support. So let's install that. All kinds of dependencies. Okay, so there's something different. You see there's an error version conflict detected, but that's in the functions project. Let's address this later. Let's now focus on the tests. I see now it's happy here with add user secrets. Now here's the thing. Not only does it now find this method, it does another thing. If I right click the tests project here, there's a new menu entry here that suddenly says manage user secrets. So Visual Studio understands that I just installed the NuGet package to manage user secrets, and it allows me to directly edit the secrets file. Now let me double check something, just a second here. Like I said, I want to do my best to keep the secret. Yep, that's good. Let's go back here. So if I right click here and manage to use the secrets, it opens up a secrets.json file, and it's just empty. That's just 2 curly braces in there. Now what I can do in here is, and we want to try this, I'm gonna go there to the sources tests, open the containing folder, and in that containing folder, there's my CS project file. Let me open up, excuse me, let me open up PowerShell in here. There we have it. I've got 2 of them. That's the wrong one. There we have it. So here, if I go and execute .NET, I can do all the, well, I should be able to all the .NET stuff that I can do from the command line. There it is. And one of the options in here is .NET user secrets. And that's the user secrets manager that we have here. So by using that, I can manually add entries as a secret to this particular project. So the big question is, how does it know where and how to store them? Well, let's solve this mystery. If I go back to Visual Studio here and right click the project and edit the project file, there we have it. It has inserted this line here, user secrets ID, and that user secrets ID is just, well, a unique identifier, and that will be used as part of the folder where it's going to store the secrets. And if you use the secret manager in the command line, it just reads that project file and it understands, hey, there's this secret value in there, and it's going to use this to store the values. So let's go ahead and see if we can add something in there. And I always need to check the help. I never know from top of my head. .NET user secrets, clear, list, remove, set. I want to go with set, and it says parameter for name and info. So we want to set 2 values here, and the values that I'm going to have in there, let me make sure I pick the right names here. I'm going to make one here, Solar Edge API key, and the value is secret. Let's just try that. And successfully saved Solar Edge API key equals secret. So going back into Visual Studio to the secret JSON, we see that indeed it has been updated. So we can either use the command line or we can use the editor directly here in Visual Studio, whatever you prefer. So let's just keep this in here. No point in putting the real key in there for now. Otherwise, it's just about me worrying about you seeing this again all the time. I have to change it. Now, instead, let's add another one. I'm just going to stick to the command line. And the other one that we need is the Solar Edge location identifier. And that was this integer value, which I stored here. Let me see, where is it? This one here. That's the one. I should have updated there. There it is. Right. So now going back to this here, we have got a configuration builder. We told it to add the user secrets, and by giving it the type of this class here, it knows that, hey, this class belongs to a specific assembly. This assembly belongs to a specific project. It then gets the project file, it gets the secrets ID, and then it can read the value. That's what we have here. Now let's build that to get our config. It's just builder.build. And if this code looks familiar, well, it could be familiar because it's exactly the code that you find in the startup CS file in any ASP.NET Core MVC project. So with that, we can read our values. So that's the Solar Edge API key, that's config. Oh, what did I call it? My brain, it's too hot. 28 degrees here in the office. So that's this one, and the other one is the Solar Edge installation ID. That's config. I called it location ID, that's what it really is. Let's rename that. Solar Edge location ID, that's the one. And I can get rid of this here. Why are you complaining? Yep, so I guess this needs to be parsed. That should be an integer value using system. There we go. Right, so now down here, I should be able to use these Solar Edge location ID. And we can run this. Let's try it. Let's try it. I mean, it's gonna fail because obviously secrets exclamation mark is not the secret API key, but I want to make sure that it's reading the values correctly. Let's put a breakpoint in there. And put one there. Let's give this probably a try here. Debug selected test. And indeed it got it. So you see here, Solar Edge API key, secret exclamation mark, and it should read the, yep, there's the location ID now, that's the 414683. Right, so that's working. Now, before we test this and I try to insert the real key here, I should probably think about these user secrets. They are only meant to be used locally. And the moment I deploy this to Azure, I don't want to use these. I'm not even sure what happens if you try to do this. It's probably just not going to do anything, but worst case is it fails, or there's a way of somehow storing different values on Azure, and it would not read the one from the application settings or from the key vault. It would read the ones from these somehow faked user secrets. So yeah, just I want to avoid this. I want to run this only locally. Now in .NET Core, we also have support for development environments. And let me see if we can find this. .NET Core development environment. I have it. Multiple environments. So let's. So in ASP.NET Core, you have this environment that is development. But really what this is doing, it's reading environment variables that you can define. They are called ASP.NET Core environment, ASP.NET Core, it points to production or development. So I want to see if we can, let me use them locally. So really what I'm looking for is this here in a console app. Well, then again, it's probably not ASP.NET Core environment. It's just, is it just .NET Core? That would make sense. Can I configure this in Visual Studio? Big question. Let's see. Properties. Is there anything in there? No. Build. There. Debugging. I remember the setting. I remember seeing it somewhere. Let's try here. Properties. .NET Core. How to set this? I don't know. Set development environment Visual Studio. I guess that's not the one I want. .NET Core. That's what I'm looking for. How to set the... Maybe Andrew knows. Changing the hosting environment. Oh, so really just as an... Okay. Okay. Really just as an environment variable then. Nothing else. Launch.json. Oh, there's the environment variable. Okay, well then. Do I need to worry about it then? Maybe I don't. Maybe I don't. Oh, let's just keep it there. Let's just keep it there. And when we, you know what? I'm gonna do something that I always make jokes about. I'm gonna put a to-do here, and that to-do says anything specific needed when running tests. I just wonder, does this have to be removed? I don't think so. A question here on the chat: what kind of data sources do you have around your house? Well, yeah. So let's quickly go back there. So that's what I'm currently thinking about. The one that I'm working on. This is about the solar installation, and like I said, I've got an app for that, so I want to read this. Then I've got the wood pellets. This is my central heating. I think I have this somewhere here, so let me show you this. This is what it looks like. Just a second. There we go. So here's that screen. There it is. So this is it's a wood pellets unit, and I figured out that this also has got an API that you can use. It's XML based. So I managed to connect this device. You can see it here. I managed to connect this to my home network, and they've got a lot of stuff built in. So they've got a browser UI that you can run. So I can log into the vendor's website, and the website then connects me back to this unit, and I can actually, what you see here is a VNC view of the display that is down there in the basement on this device. So, and what I want to do with this one is I want to read not solar. It's a bit slow. That's why I don't like it. I want to do my own. I want to go here. This where it says Lager. This is where it says there are currently 1150 kilogram of pellets available. So this is the value that I'm interested in, also about the errors that this thing is delivering. So that's what I want to see. And fun fact, I tried to sell them a completed app that says, hey, I've got a mobile app here that is much more simple than what you have there in the browser and faster. And they said, nah, people aren't using mobile apps. People are interested in browser. And I'm like, yeah, sure. Well, can't help you then. So this is this one. Then the next one is the electric vehicle that I have here. And that's just also something that has got an app, but it's got an API too. It's not officially supported, but it's, well, it's just, if you Google a bit on Bing, you will find the API call, so I can read that too. So that's the one. And then finally the last one, that's the workout of the day. This is really not related to my home, but it's part of what I check in the morning. What's going on in the gym today? I just want to know. And I want to build this project so that it's super flexible, that I can add other sources as they come up. So I'm currently thinking about the next one already that would tell me if my garage is actually open. And I saw that Scott Hanselman has got built something that could be included in here. How do I have my solar panel system set up? Well, that's a Solar Edge installation. I could show you that. I'll just make sure that I don't show any logins here. So wait a second, please. What did I click? Too many. There it is. Just can move it like this. So this is what it looks like. So this is their website again, and they provide also an JSON-based API. That's pretty cool that if you dig a bit, that you find that a lot of, well, devices these days, they have got APIs that you can use. It's just about really figuring out how to use them. That's the biggest problem. But that's the fun of it, right? Figuring out how these things work, then connecting everything. All right, back to this here. What did I want to do here? Yeah, edit the to-do. And now I need the real key. So I have to go back here once more. In a new browser window here. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna take this offline. Because like I said, I'm trying to hide that key from you. Let me see. Call it a challenge. It's not really bad if I reveal it, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna reveal it again, but I wanna avoid it. Admin, site access. Okay, so there's the key, and there's my secrets JSON. And now I'm gonna go here. And save this, and now where are we again? So now it's stored in the secrets JSON file. Do you have a passive house? No, I don't have a passive house. It's a very old house. It's from the early 60s, but renovated a lot. So let's see what's going on here. Our solar helper is getting there, it's getting there. And is calling, well, let's just try it. That's what we have the tests for, right? Get solar current power should return something. Run. Test finished. Oh, let's see. Just a quick second. Hey, it was good that I switched to that screen because, believe it or not, there's the API key again. It's really hard to hide this. Oh man. Well, I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm just gonna rotate it. It is what it is. So we all want to learn something. So there it is. So I ran the test and it tells me the call failed with status 404, and boom, there's the API key again. Bummer. It's not that you can do a lot with this API key, right? You could query the installation, but I'm gonna change it in a second. So this one, what is going on here? 404. Why is that a 404? Let's see, Postman to the rescue. So in Postman, I have set up all the calls. Get solar, that's API, solar panel, current power. So this is solar edge comms site, then the location identifier / current power flow. And I've got here base URL. What's base URL? That's site, okay. It's missing something, is it? It's missing this puppy here. It's missing the location identifier. Dot append path segment. What do we have here? Instead, there it's called installation ID again. I should stick to. Oh, you want to build a house, buy a house in San Francisco, SF? Wow, I heard prices are high, extremely high. Let's give this a try again. Okay. But is renting in San Fran any cheaper? I know that, so near my place in Munich, I think Munich is the most expensive town to rent apartments and houses in Germany. But it's nothing compared to San Fran. Hey, we got some success here. Expected current power grid status to be active, but was active. That differs near act. Well, what's the thing here? Sources test. Power grid should be active. Oh, it's lowercase? That's what you're complaining about? I think so. Run. Yeah, I believe so. Hey, it succeeded. Let me put a breakpoint there and see what we get back here. Test Explorer, debug selected tests. And we're getting back. Current power 4.49. That's cool. It's working. Yay. How cool is that? So what does it say? We've got 2 connections from load to grid. So I'm selling energy. That's cool. And from the solar, I'm using it. So we are putting 4.49 into the grid. The house is currently using 0.48 kilowatts and the solar installation delivers 4.94. That's cool. It's working. Hooray. Let's stop this, and I need to rotate the key. Save. Change is saved. Good. So now that key has changed again. And it's working, right? That's pretty much what I wanted. So I should update the saved key. Well, not yet, because maybe I'll reveal it again. So the test is working, and if the test is working, that means next I should get the functions, or the function to work. So let's go back there. Source solar. Right, that's where we began. So here's the thing now. In this function, I also want to get access to the installation. And it should get access to the installation ID and the API key. But I don't want to store them again. So if I right click here, functions, I could I could. Let's just do that. Manage NuGet packages and browse, and we want to browse for the user secrets again. I want to use the user secrets for local development, but the thing is, if I add the package in here, my functions project is going to have a different secrets ID. So we got to do something about that. What's going on here? Package restore failed, rolling back. What are you complaining about? Newtons of JSON install. Okay, so there's an update. Let's see what's going on here. So update for the functions SDK. Let's give that a try. Yeah, that's a good comment there on the chat window. So eventually that's the plan. So right now I only want to use it as a dashboard to get some information from it. But of course it would be nice to say that, well, you're currently selling more energy than you use. Maybe you want to turn on the washing machine or something. It should figure that out. Or even better, it should maybe start charging the car if it's currently plugged in. That's what I want to try, but the problem really is that the car is either charging or not. So there's no API for that. If it's plugged in, it's charging. It's a bit of a bummer, but it could certainly, yeah, you can think of all kinds of extensions, like send out a push notification saying, hey, we've got a lot of electricity here. Use it, turn on some lights. That was what my son proposed, by the way. So the solar installation produced a lot. And so like, hey, we can get rid of the energy. And they're like, well, just open the fridge. I'm like, yeah, thank you. All right, so has this updated here? What is it doing? Rolling back. Okay, so what is it complaining? Flurl HTTP wants newtons of JSON 12002, and the functions SDK, it requires newton. Why does it require a specific version? Why are people doing that? That's not nice. So I bet it's working with the 1202. So let me install newtons of JSON 1202 in there. Maybe it's happy then. There we go. 1202 and install that directly. Yeah, I think home systems are, it's a big thing, and you can of course optimize that. And what I know is that is it the Nissan Leaf? I think it was the Nissan Leaf, the electric vehicle. If you plug it in, it acts as a backup battery to your home even. So they already built some smart solutions there. So you can pull energy from the car if you don't generate enough, and you charge it if there is enough. So I really like that. And that's where technology can help us a lot. So it installed this one here. Now let me try to update that one. You just gotta love NuGet packages, right? Oh, so that's better. I accept. Okay. So it installed that, and there's a bunch of warnings. I don't like warnings. Warnings are just errors in disguise, so let's get rid of them. Yeah, that's one of my favorite warnings here. So you see HTTP triggered function. It always has the request in there, but if you don't reuse the request, you get a warning about it. Now, didn't I disable that? There's the global. That's the global. It's already in there. I have already suppressed that. What are you complaining about here? Let me fix this. Suppress in suppression file. So what's the difference here now? Ending. Did the format change? Well, I don't really care too much. I just want this error to be gone. There we go. Now it should be happy. Good. Detected package outs of dependency. So we went from an error to a warning. I don't think that's going to be an issue. So now I'm not using, I don't have a battery installed. I did the math on the battery and it would take me approximately 28 years to pay off that battery with the energy that I save. And so I thought, I'm turning 43 next week. So add 30 years. I don't want to live in this house in 30 years. I want to be somewhere else. Have a solar installation on my little island or something. So that did not quite work. Okay, so back to this here. We've got, do we have the package installed now or still not? I don't think. Oh yeah, it failed installing it, right? User secrets, that's where we stopped. So let's add the user secrets, install more dependencies. I accept. Thank you. I'm just 42. All right. So now that we added the user secrets package, if I right click here, I get this menu option again, manage user secrets. If I click there, I'm getting another secrets.json file, which is empty. And the reason is that if I open up the project file, it has added another user secrets ID. So now it's storing, I would have to add the same secret values in there. Now here's what I'm thinking, and I'm not sure if this is good practice, but I'm just gonna do it because not everything has to be good or best practice. If I edit this one here, let's try this. If I edit this project file, that's the secrets ID that it added in here. So why don't we put a little comment in there that says this, projects tests and project tests and functions use the same secrets ID, so secrets can be shared. I'm going to copy this here and put it over there. Where is it? Edit project file. There it is. So let's save this here. Let's close this one. Add one. This one. Now let me retry. Edit, manage user secrets. Ta-da, there we go. So I'm now getting the same secrets file that is used in the tests project. And that's the key. Now, if you want to take a screenshot of it, because I've already rotated it, so that's not a thing anymore. But now the functions, they can access these values. Now the big question is how to do that. So one of the options would be to just go to our not the Solar helpers, to go to my tests here, kind of copy and paste the code that we have in here with the configuration builder and move them over to the function. So I could just build the configuration in here, and every time the function is called, let it do this thing. And that would work. And in my case, it wouldn't really be an issue because that function, well, how often is that called? I don't know, a couple of times a day. And I don't really need this to scale out. But if I was to scale this out and have many of these instances running concurrently, I would end up building a lot of these configuration objects, and it could have an impact on performance, and it could extend the duration that the function takes to run, and I would have to pay more. So here's what I'm thinking. There is something new to functions, Azure Functions version 2, that I recently discovered, and that is dependency injection. So it was always possible with some quirks, but now they officially introduced that. I want to give that a try. So let me see, do I still have this open in the browser? So this is, I need that one. This one, there it is. Dependency injection in Azure Functions, that's what we need. Again, let me put that on the chat window. This is, what do I have to add? This one here, Microsoft Azure Functions extension. So there's a NuGet package. Of course, there's a NuGet package, there always is. So let's add that, and then we want to make the changes here. So to manage functions, NuGet packages, extensions, let's install them. I'm tempted to ignore this warning and suppress it, but I'm gonna keep it here, because if the project later fails, something doesn't work, if I deploy it to Azure, maybe that's the reason. So let's keep it for now. So what do we have to do to make this work? I added the extensions, and you gotta register services. And looking at this, we've got a startup class that derives from function startup, and in there I can, well, register all the services that I want to be, or that I want to use in my functions. And this is a lot like, or it looks a lot like what I know already from ASP.NET Core projects. So let's just give this a try. I guess what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this one here. Can you explain Azure in 1 to 3 sentences? That's a challenge. Azure is a Microsoft-owned platform that provides cloud services. I guess that's the shortest explanation that I could give. And cloud services, they include everything like storage, virtual machines, software as a service, functions as a service, serverless environments, all of these things. Yeah, similar to AWS, but better. I'm biased. Okay. What do I want to do? I want to add a file here. Add a class. Let's add a class. Startup.cs. Let's just paste this stuff in there. Namespace, my namespace is going to be functions. Get rid of this here. And that's functions.startup. So what is it doing here? Apparently there's some assembly-wide attribute that we have here where we tell it what is the code that it should run prior to executing a function, or the other way around. If a function is executed, we want it to then run that startup code. Yeah, that's really pretty similar to how it works with ASP.NET MVC applications. You've got this startup, so the first time you hit the service, it's going to run that code. Let's look, what do we have in here? I don't need HTTP, I don't need Cosmos DB, save that for a later episode. Configure. So that's what we get. We have this configure method, and in there I'm getting a builder, a functions host builder object, and I can register services, and there are apparently services built in, like the HTTP client. I could decide to add a singleton, or I guess there's other ways of adding something. Builder.services.add transient and add, what else is there? Scoped. So there's different ways of registering services, different lifetimes. Now I don't need any of these here. The only thing that I really want here is configuration. So what we want to end up here with is the following. Going back here to Solar. In here, in that function, I want to get access to iConfiguration without explicitly building it here. So the new thing now with this dependency injection is that we got to change our class here. It's no longer going to be static, become a regular class, and it's going to get a constructor. There it is. And that constructor is now supposed to get an iConfiguration object. Yep, use that. That's good. And then we should be able to store that in here. Config, like that. Config equals config. So this is what I want the functions runtime to inject whenever this method is, or this function is called. So that's no longer be static either. There we have it. And instead in here, I want to use that config. I should copy that from my sources test. I need these two here. Just like that. So that's Solar Edge API key and location ID. That's underscore config. So that's the idea here. Let's try it. Let's try it and see what happens. I see. Where's there? Where's the browser? There. Using dependencies. There was something in here. There it is. Function app provided services. So here's the nice thing. It says the function host registers many services. The following services are safe to take as a dependency. There are many services and then there's a list of 2. Okay, so these many 2 services here include iConfiguration. That's what I'm after. So it seems that iConfiguration is already there. I don't have to do anything. That's what they promise. Well, let's see. I'll run the functions project here. And well, it tells me that's where I find the function locally. Let's give that a try. Hey, Mr. Postman. That's the one. API Solar. And it hits that, and we have got a config object. That's good. So apparently it injected that. So what are the providers in there? Memory configuration, JSON. Come on. Host JSON file. So it has got 6 providers in there, but unfortunately the Solar Edge API key is null. So apparently it does not add the secrets manager provider. So we need to get it in there. You see, it's not there. It can read, it could read the configuration from all kinds of sources. And here's the one that very likely a lot of people are using, the JSON file, or the, what else is there? Chained memory. Here it is, the JSON configuration provider. But like I said, I don't want to do that. I don't want to store these secrets in a JSON file that I then by accident open up or check into source control. And once the damage is done, it's hard to undo it. So let's see if we can get the secrets manager contents in there. Where's the startup file? There it is, configure. And I gotta look at my cheat sheet a bit here. Where is it? Where are you? Let me see. Dum-dum-dum. We are looking for this one here. Right. So if we look at this, go back. If we look at this builder object there, that was the trick. So it's something that I did over last evening. I tried to figure out, well, how do I get to this configuration? Because I didn't find a way to directly influence the creation of the eye configuration because it's already there. And once I get to this method call, the configuration object has already been created. And now that I'm talking about it, I wonder if there's something I could override in there. But there's really just configure. There's nothing else that you could override. So that's not helpful. So I think what I don't know if that's a hack. Maybe they're gonna add it at some point, but in here we can access the services and you can get to the services. So if I call build service provider here, I can get a service. So I built the builder, I let the builder build a service provider, and I get to the service and I tell it what I want is eye configuration. It should have that because they claim it's there, it's in there. That's what we want. And what do we get back here? That's an eye configuration. So let's call that our default config. And now the idea is that I'm going to build my own configuration, including the secrets manager stuff, and then I'm going to add all the default config. So I should have everything. And that's business as usual. We get a new configuration builder. Add configuration. We can add an existing configuration. So that's the one I just loaded here. And then we can add user secrets using that startup file. So I wanted to read the secrets ID from a functions project. And I do this by pointing it to the startup file. And I guess I gotta build that. So what we get now is a config that contains everything. Let's add a comment here. Eye configuration provided by functions SDK does not contain user secrets. Add them manually. I should probably put a reference in there. This one here. See this one here. So now we need to get this back in. That's going to be builder.services. So what did it add this at as a singleton? So let's add this back as a singleton. Add singleton, eye configuration, my config. So what I do here is I just replace whatever is in there with my configuration. let's give it a try. Let's run this. Mr. Postman. Why is this always off screen? Send. Setting a breakpoint. Hey, and we've got a key. Brilliant. So now the functions have got access to that key. That's cool. Yeah, now I'm getting an error. It says 403 here because, well, obviously that that key is now invalid because I updated it. Right. So that's now the function. Good. Back to the dashboard. No, this one here. Not the Azure Portal dashboard, but this one here. So I've got two functions in place that are now working. It's the workout and it's the solar. Now what next? Car and pellets. I gotta think a bit about the car because if I reveal my login credentials for the car, that's gonna be way more difficult to fix. So I wanna be careful there. Maybe I'm gonna prepare something and then just show you what I did. But this one here is something that we can at least inspect now. That one here is different. So all the other sources, they are accessible directly from the internet. This one here has got a local IP address. So I cannot directly get there. And well, I could certainly somehow tunnel that and make it accessible, but I don't really want that. I don't like the idea of giving the world out there access to my private network. I'm not a network specialist. And the other thing is, I want to use this project for practicing. So I thought, let's just run this locally somehow and then upload the data to the cloud afterwards. So that adds even more flexibility. A source can be something on the internet, or it can be something that, I don't know, runs on a little Raspberry. That's what this is going to be in the end, and I want to run this in a Docker image. So we can have a look at the API there and what this needs. So the idea is this runs locally, and what is it doing? It's posting data to a function that is then eventually going to store everything. Well, why not create that function next? So looks like this is needed. Let's just add that. Let's add a function. Add a new Azure function. That's going to be a... So what is this going to be? Is this for pellets only? No. That should really be for... That should be for everything. So this is a function that should accept the my data format, but it's not specific to this one. So let's call that store source data, maybe. Add that. That's going to be an HTTP triggered function. That's going to be anonymous. So in case you wonder about authorization, I briefly talked about this when I started the project. All of these functions are going to be anonymous. Why? Isn't there a danger? Well, what I'm going to do in the end is if I publish this, I'm going to pick a cryptic URL that it cannot be guessed. And so that's one level of protection. And the other thing is, the only thing that you can do with these functions is get read access to some data that is not really a big secret. So I would be totally fine with sharing the state of charge of my car with you. That's not really a big thing. The only one that is maybe a bit critical is this one now that I'm generating, which is storing data. But again, you can store a JSON file in my Cosmos DB storage, and well, I'm not going to do anything with it. If you guessed the URL. So I think that's fine. Store source data, public static class. You see by default it's always creating a static class, so it's not using the extensions. Maybe that's going to change eventually. Storing source JSON data. That's what it's going to do. And I don't know exactly what this thing is going to do. So for now, let's just say, let's just return a new bad request object result. This is not implemented yet. Suppress this as always. I wish there was an easier way of doing that. Now it's happy. Like that. Good. So this one is in there. It's not doing anything. What are you complaining about? Yeah, it's not really async now. That's fine. Then what we need is, yeah, the API for that one. So let's have a look at this. And I gotta find this. Where is that? It's not there. See if I've got a browser window somewhere. No. I gotta Google this quickly. Log in there. Where is it? Where is that? System settings. There must be a link somewhere. If you wonder what I'm doing here, just wanna let me quickly hide this here. Maybe like that, it's working. There we go. So what I'm doing right now, I'm browsing the website of the vendor of this pellets unit, and I'm trying to figure out where the API description is. It's really well hidden. It's not there. System settings. What the hell? Settings there. Details. Nothing there. How hard can it be? Unlock web. There it is. My God. There's a button that says unlock web services. It tells me the web service is already unlocked. And there's a PDF. That's the one we need. So you see, they had this for a while. 2012. So this is the documentation for this unit, supporting all kinds of calls. Get, post, put, delete. Now, unfortunately, they are using XML. That's not as easy to parse as JSON. And it's a very dynamic API. So if I show you this, yes, again, I can show you that in Postman. Let's go over there. Here in Postman, I have set this up. Get pellet supplies. So there's an example. That's the IP address of the device in my basement. And then you have to know that it's /user/var, and you see all these numbers there, 112.10.201. So they are organizing their API as a hierarchy of nodes. And you have to make an initial call to that API, and it tells you, well, these are the devices that I found. And device number 1 has got the ID 112. So you know that if you want to access device number 1, that is going to be /112. And then it tells you, well, device 112, it supports telling you how many supplies are left. And the node for that is 10.201. So you first have to read this meta information in order to build up the URL. Now for my installation, I know these IDs. I looked them up once and I know that this is the URL. But to make this really work for any given installation, you would have to dynamically parse that. Like that, I can get the errors here. Currently no errors. And here's an example. You see, if I get the errors, it tells me the specific errors for the unit itself. You can find them at 112.10.021. The biggest challenge is to parse that. Now here's the thing. I said earlier that I already built an app for them, and I tried to sell them this app. I just demoed that and they were not interested. So I used this, I'm using it for myself. It was a mobile app and I have already implemented all the XML parsing. So what I'm planning for the next episode is have a look at this old project that we have here. It's a Xamarin Forms project where I have implemented, based on HTTP client, a way of accessing this data at a very low level. It's just reading the plain XML. And then there's a, man, you gotta remember code from like 4 years ago. Then there's a higher level implementation there, or higher level helper, where, yeah, it's doing all the parsing. So it's taking the XML and it figures out what is in there. So in the next episode, I want to take all this, and it's in a portable class library, and move this over into a .NET Standard library, and then actually implement the third source that will be the pellets. And depending on how long this takes, maybe also go to the to this one here, to this part. Not that one. Still have this open. Where's my browser? This part here, where we want to have this function that regularly triggers all the registered sources. And that's going to involve table storage or something like that. That's planned for next time. But I think for today, I was planning until 11 a.m. Now that's 8 minutes left. I think that's good enough. We're not going to start anything new. I've got something to prepare. I hope you learned something new. We learned about house prices in San Francisco and in Munich, and about .NET Core, storing secrets. Of course, I still want to push this here. Let's go ahead and implement or fix Solar source and move secrets to secrets manager. Commit to master and push to origin. So if you would like to see the progress of the project, then you're more than welcome to check out the GitHub repository. It's there. Put the link in the chat window. If you want to, you can submit an issue. You can, of course, contribute if you like to. And then we'll move on with this next Thursday. Thanks, everybody.